For my screencast, I chose to focus on the topic the merge to online learning during COVID-19 in relation to identity. Since this is a very relevant topic in our current day, I wanted to address the importance of the changing nature in our identities in such a critical time. My own university experience for the majority has been online, including my social life as well as work, and noticed myself that it was difficult to separate the different identities when online. My backstage self would often mix with my education self, since the boundaries between university and home was blurred, with it all being done through the same space. Generally, COVID-19 was a major catalyst for social change, and something that has affected the digital age and the way we move forward with digital technology. To create my screencast, I use a new software program called Powtoon and iMovie. The reason I decided to use Powtoon was the different affordances they provided, which I found easy to use. The possibilities with the animation and visual aspects were endless and very smooth. Although, since there were limitations to Powtoon, such as the video length and quality of audio recording, I chose to use iMovie to piece the screencast together. I found iMovie to be extremely useful and straightforward with attaching the two video clips and overlaying the different audios. However, if I were to do this screencast again, I would potentially look at alternative softwares that would allow me to edit without the issues I had with Powtoon. Social semiotic resources are symbols and signs we use in order to convey meaning. In the production of my screencast, I was able to achieve multimodality using different visual and auditory semiotic resources. I chose specific sources and reviewed the dissemination of discourse of sociocultural context within the semiotic resources. As Crest stated, the meaning in any design is always interpreted by a person's social and cultural background. I wanted to make sure I included icons that are internationally known as one meaning, such as Facebook being known as a popular social media, so it is more inclusive for my audience. Furthermore, my own sociocultural influence affected my presentation, since I usually read from left to right. But this isn't always the case in every culture. Therefore, I provided arrows in some of my slides for everyone to understand which way it needs to be read. I further ensured this by timing certain animations to pop up when it needs to be read, as shown in this slide. When considering the text in my video, I also wanted to use font and size of text to construct meaning. For example, within this slide, I used large red slanted text saying restrictive. Internationally, the sign for no entry is usually portrayed as a big red sign with a red line running through, and is defined as used to restrict admittance. When reviewing this part of my screencast, I was aiming for the audience to subconsciously make that association between the sign and the text. Every text has different patterns and language cohesion. This is an important factor that I had to consider when designing my screencast, as Byrne and Crest stated the importance of understanding the representational modes within specific media by examining the cohesive patterns and languages used. Within my academics, I am more accustomed to written reports, which usually uses chronological cohesion and academic language. For this screencast, I found it difficult to stray away from this pattern, rather than making the language conversational. For instance, in this part of the screencast, I used a lot of academic and formal terminology, which could be seen as adopting a banking concept pedagogy. I had to consider the tone of my voice more carefully to avoid sounding monotonous by changing intonation. Rochelle stated that learning online is enhanced by active engagement and frequent interaction. I used questions as part of my text in order to connect with the audience and to encourage critical thinking of their own experiences. When designing my screencast, I grew to understand my position as a voice of authority. Since I have my own socio-cultural identity, this can influence what knowledge I present to my audience. During the merge to online learning, it's important for the audience to recognise that not everyone has been affected in the same way, and it may have affected some people's identities but not others. I subconsciously put the power in the viewer's hands to recognise my screencast as a critical literacy, as I wanted the audience to see the embodied understanding within my media, as opposed to taking it at face value. Overall, I found this module to be testing of my creativity, introducing new mediums that I wouldn't have tried otherwise. Since I am used to written assignments, I found this challenging when designing my video, but has allowed me to reflect critically on the ways to create meaning through different theory practices.